One of the deepest wounds in relationships is not always rejection from someone else. Sometimes it is the rejection of yourself. Sometimes the greatest betrayal is not that someone failed to choose you, but that, in trying to keep them, you stopped choosing yourself. That is called self-abandonment, and many people are living it without even realizing it. In this video, we are going to talk about what self-abandonment in relationships really looks like, why it happens, and how to stop losing yourself. How to stop losing yourself in the name of love, connection, approval, or peace. Because love should not cost you your voice, your truth, your boundaries, or your sense of self. Self-abandonment happens when you consistently disconnect from your own needs, values, feelings, and truth in order to maintain attachment. It is when you say yes while your spirit is saying no. It is when you silence your discomfort to avoid conflict. It is when you over-accommodate, over-explain, over-give, and over-function just to feel safe, loved, or accepted. It is not love. It is survival dressed up as loyalty. And the dangerous part is this: self-abandonment often looks noble. It can look like patience. It can look like sacrifice. It can look like being understanding. But underneath it, there is often fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being too much. Fear of being left. Fear of not being chosen. Self-abandonment in relationships can look like ignoring your own emotional pain because you do not want to make things difficult. Staying quiet about what hurts you because you are afraid of pushing the other person away. Accepting behavior that violates your standards because you are more attached to keeping the connection than honoring yourself. Becoming who the other person needs you to be while slowly losing contact with who you really are. It also looks like constantly reading the room, managing the other person's emotions, shrinking your truth, and betraying your own intuition. You begin to monitor yourself too much. You edit your feelings. You soften your boundaries. You explain away red flags. You call it love, but inside, you feel tired, anxious, unseen, and disconnected. That is not peace. That is self-erasure. Most people do not self-abandon because they are weak. They do it because they learned that attachment felt safer than authenticity. Maybe you learned that being easy to love was safer than being real. Maybe you learned that speaking up led to punishment or withdrawal. Maybe you learned that your needs were inconvenient, that love had to be earned through performance, pleasing, or silence. So now, in adult relationships, you do what once helped you survive. You adjust, you appease, you suppress. You remain loyal to the bond, even when the bond is asking you to betray yourself. But what protected you once may now be harming you. The cost of self-abandonment is heavy. You may stay in the relationship, but lose your inner stability. You may keep the peace externally, but feel chaos internally. You may remain connected to another while disconnected from yourself. Over time, self-abandonment creates resentment. Because even if you never say it out loud, something in you knows, I am not being fully met. And that resentment can turn inward. You begin to feel anger at yourself for what you tolerated and how often you left yourself behind. That is why healing is not only about whether the relationship survives, it is also about whether you survive within it. Healing self-abandonment begins with honesty. You have to ask yourself, where am I overriding my own truth? Where am I saying yes out of fear? Where am I shrinking to maintain connection? Where am I betraying my own needs in order to feel chosen? Then begin rebuilding self-trust in small but powerful ways. Tell the truth about what you feel. Honor your discomfort. Set boundaries without over-justifying them. Let your no mean no. Let your needs become visible. Let your standards become real. And most importantly, stop treating your inner voice like an inconvenience. Your feelings are not the enemy. Your needs are not weakness. Your boundaries are not cruelty. Your truth is not too much. The right relationship will not require your disappearance. Real love does not ask you to abandon yourself to prove your devotion. Real love makes room for truth. It makes room for boundaries. It makes room for emotional honesty. It makes room for your full presence. And if a relationship only works when you are silent, shape-shifted, and emotionally reduced, then what is being preserved is dysfunction. The deeper healing is this. You must become unwilling to lose yourself just to avoid losing someone else. Because the moment you abandon yourself to keep a relationship, you have already begun to lose something sacred. If this message speaks to you, pause and reflect on this question. Where in my relationships have I been choosing attachment over truth? That question can open the door to your healing. You deserve relationships where you do not have to betray yourself to belong. You deserve connection without self-erasure. You deserve love that does not require your silence, your shrinking, or your surrender of self. Choose love, yes, but not at the cost of you. If this resonated with you, leave a comment with the words, "I will not abandon myself," and share this video with someone who needs this. Subscribe for more teachings on emotional healing, self-mastery, and aligned relationships.